The Case Shiller Home Price Index just came out. Every single market in the top 20 markets went up month over month. However, year over year, there was a drop in prices and some big gains and some big losses. We're going to check that out right now. Guys, here's what happened. So in June, from month over month, home prices rose 0.9%. Now, as you know, interest rates are over 7%, when 2 years ago they were about 2.5%, 3%. I would have guessed that home prices would collapse. But remember, the supply of homes is so low. Just 10, 12 years ago, the number of homes for sale was like 4 million, a little over 4 million. Now it's a little over 1 million. When you have, remember, prices are based on supply and demand. It's not just supply, it's not just demand. It's them working together, okay? So right now, we have major supply problems. Because of those high rates now, people are not selling their homes. You're only going to sell your home if you have to sell your home. I tell a story in every video. My fiance and I are finishing a home. She literally got the lowest rate possible 2 years ago, 2.625. And I tell her, you're never selling this home. We're going to rent this thing out and you're going to keep this mortgage for the rest of time. And she agrees. Like, we're going to pay that thing off in 28 years now. I'm fine with that. But you're only moving if you have to get a bigger home. You have to change jobs. You have to, one of those reasons, that's why you're moving. Now remember, guys, you're going to be in your home for a long time. So don't worry about these month to month, year to year price differences. Over long periods of time, if you just pay off your mortgage on a 30-year period, you're going to make 7 or 8% on your house. That's on your money. That's what's great. And that doesn't even include appreciation. But let's go over some of the numbers. So like I said, 0.9% increase from May to June in home prices across the country. But year over year, some surprising things. So first off, number one city, Chicago, 4.2% year over year prices. Number two city, let's give it up to the land, Cleveland, Ohio, 4.1%. So here are some major cities here. Some big drops, guys. Vegas, minus 8.2%. Dallas and Denver, minus over 4%. Phoenix, 7.5%. San Francisco, minus 10% almost. Minus 9.7%. Seattle, minus 8.8%. So guys, the more hype cities, that's where it went. You know, you look at a place like Chicago and Cleveland, you can't go out as much. Because first off, in Cleveland, we got the lake above us. So going out, people don't want to go out further. There's not much development going on. In Chicago, you got the lake on the east side, and then you got a very compact urban environment. It's very hard to build there. You have to buy something and probably demolish it. So there's not like new developments going up. That's the issue with supply and demand. When I talk about Dallas, Atlanta, and all these big cities that are growing out like this, even Columbus, a city that's very close to us that we love, the problem is you can just keep going out and out and out. And it's a fast-growing city here in Ohio. Over 1% population appreciation, but the home prices aren't going up as much because you can just keep going out further and further. So these are some of the issues with home prices going forward. The overall composite, actually it says minus 1.2% year over year in terms of home prices. So of course, what's everybody talking about? Mortgage rates. This is going to be an issue for a while. Where are mortgage rates going? No clue whatsoever. No clue. But as the Fed raises rates, mortgage rates will likely follow, but we don't know long-term where they're going to go. Now, historically, we're about where home rates usually are, but the good news is I do have a good piece of news about home rates, and here's what I like about high home rates. When your home rate was 3%, I was like, why are you paying any extra on your mortgage? But now with home rates at 7.2, if you have a 7% mortgage, if every extra dollar you pay down, you're giving yourself that return. Whenever you pay down debt, the interest rate you're being charged is the return you're giving yourself on your money. Imagine getting a guaranteed 7% return. That's what you're getting when you pay down a 7% mortgage. In that situation, I'm actually in favor of paying down extra on your mortgage because now you're giving yourself a guaranteed 7% return. The 9-day treasury is paying 5.5%. You're beating that by 150 basis points, 1.5%. You're basically giving yourself a 7% return on your money if your home mortgage rate is 7%. If it's 5%, you're giving yourself a 5% guaranteed return. And over a 30-year period, getting a 7% guaranteed return is a pretty effing good return. And that's one of the benefits of having high rates. You have something extra to do with the extra cash that's sitting in your account. Oh, I have extra cash flow this month. Let me pay down an extra $1,000 on my mortgage. I just invested $1,000 at 7%. That is what you're doing. At a guaranteed 7%. Now, all of a sudden, 9 or 10% from a long-term ETF isn't as attractive. So there are pluses to this high mortgage. Now, granted, you might sit there and say, I'd rather be paying 3%. I don't blame you. I would too. But in that situation now, at 2.625% that my fiance's at, I will tell her, I don't care what it is, you're not paying down that mortgage any extra than you have to. Because we can go put your cash in a treasury making 5.5% right now. And even in the future, if that comes down to 4, we can still crush that. Or 3.5, we can still beat that 2.625% interest. And if we invest it in the market for her, when prices are more reasonable, she can expect a much higher rate of return. So there are benefits, there are positives, it depends on how you look at it. And that's what we do on this channel. Our goal on this channel is to look at the positives of every situation and also the negatives, but not sit there and say the world is falling apart. Guys, we've had higher interest rates. We've had lower interest rates. And guess what? The US gets better. We have inflation and we have limited home supply. That's why you're seeing home prices go up. You know, I still see on Twitter all the time, people are saying, oh, the number of mortgage applications are down at all-time lows. I'm like, well, yeah, because the number of homes available for sale at all times. I don't buy it as, oh my God, home prices are going to crash. I'm like, well, when you have 1 million homes for sale versus 4 million that was 10 or 12 years ago, yes, you're going to have much lower home applications. And when you have rates at 7%, the refinances are going to be nothing. Very few refinances. Why? Because something like 98% of mortgages are below, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's an absurd number of mortgages are below today's rates. Why would you ever refinance? You're going to refinance for 2 reasons. 1, you can get a lower rate, which is not really happening today. Or 2, you have so much equity in your home that you're like, you know what? My home value has gone up so much, I can pull some equity out and put a pool in, put an addition in, and I'm okay increasing my rate to do that. But that's still probably going to take a few more years before that whole equity starts to play through. Now, again, according to this, home prices are still down from last year overall for the country. But we've seen a big increase in the last month. Supply and demand, guys. And that's what we're teaching on this channel. It's not just one domino. There's multiple dominoes that are affected here. And if there's a recession, I don't know what's going to happen to home prices. I have no idea. But I'll tell you right now that this low supply of homes can afford to have some more supply coming in and probably still see stable prices. Does that mean it's for sure? No, I have no idea. But the good news for you is if you're in a home that you love, just write it out. Who cares what the value of your home is? It's funny, I did look the other day, I was looking on Zillow for this home I bought to show somebody the before pictures, and it said the value of the home, and I was like, oh, it's up 33% in the last 15 months. And I was like, oh my, I didn't even think about it. Guess how much it affected me? 0. Why? Because I want this home to be the last home I'm ever in. That's what I care about, getting this mortgage, and that's it. And moving on, and just paying that mortgage for the next 30 years of my life, because I want this to be the last home I'm ever in. I couldn't care less what the home is worth, because if I just pay it down, I will get a reasonable return on my money all along the way. That's all you have to worry about. Now, if you're going to be moving to a city, and you don't know if it's going to be permanent, I encourage you to consider renting. Consider that renter, because it's okay to rent. And don't go compete for a home when you don't know how long you're going to be there. I recommend people to buy a home when they think they're going to be there 7 to 10 years at least. If you're just going to be there 2 or 3 years, I personally believe that's too risky. But of course, to each their own. I can't tell you what to do with your money, and I would never tell you. But what I would tell you is just at least consider renting. Renting has a lot of positives. You go to the landlord and say, here are your keys back, I'm moving. You don't have to deal with anything else. That's awesome. You don't have to tie up down payment money. There's all these things that deal with the risk of a roof and a risk of an HVAC and windows and blah, 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 blah. But if you have an area that you're sitting there saying, listen, I'm probably going to be here for a while, by all means do it. That's awesome. It's a great way to build some wealth. And I know a lot of people argue about that on Twitter. Like, oh, it's not, you have it, your home is a liability. No, it's not. The bank owns your home. No, they don't. You own your home. The bank lends you money on it. It is not a liability just because it costs you money every month. You have the same cost if you rent. You still have a cost there. It's a comparison between renting and buying. Owning a home is a forced savings plan. And of course, people are going to worry about where are home prices now. It's always the current news and all these things. I just sit there and say, guys, over time, because of inflation, because of the devaluation of the dollar, which is what inflation is, that your home will likely go up in value. Look at a city like Youngstown, Ohio, where our friend over here, Tim, is from. It has lost half its population in the last 40 years, and home prices are up. Why? Because the cost to build those homes is still higher. The cost to renovate those homes is still significantly higher, and that's why home prices go up. So guys, if you like this, I ask you to do two things. One, follow me on Twitter, and two, subscribe to this channel, because a lot of people, over 200,000 people, have gotten a lot of value out of it, and it will help you too in terms of thinking about the world of money in a different way. Thank you for your time.